You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Shopify grows your business no matter how far or big you grow. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling your fans' next favorite shirt or an exclusive piece of podcast merch, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Migaki, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped an amazing episode with Dylan Marks of Atheist. There is this episode and over 450 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers.
Hello, good people. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I truly mean that, folks. I really, really do. This week, I am talking to Mike Cole. Mike has blown up in the last couple years on YouTube, and I think his story is super relatable. I didn't know what his story was, which is the main reason I wanted to get him on the podcast. I, of course, have been watching his videos for a little while now. And of course, I'm always sitting there wondering what the story is. So I invited Mike on the show to do just that. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy Mike's honesty here. He does a lot of self-reflection and talking about his mental state and his attitude towards certain points in his life. And I really, really found it extremely refreshing. And I think you are going to enjoy this very much as well. We also had a fairly lengthy chat over on Patreon, and we didn't get as science fiction-y on this one. We stayed to a lot of earthly topics that are related to more stuff and a little less Bigfoot than we've had in recent Patreon episodes. So I think you'll really like that as well. And if you'd like to support the show, get those bonus episodes, and get access to the ad-free feed, please check out Patreon if you think that might be something you'd be into. That's patreon.com/tonemob. for anybody interested in that. But that's enough business. Let's get right into this episode with my dude, Mike Cole. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Mike Cole. What's going on, dude?
Dude, everything and nothing.
Everything and nothing. That's a very good description. That is the life, right?
Yeah, sometimes it is.
Well, I can't remember how I first got acquainted with your work. I feel like it was one of those random, because I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube the way that like a normal person does. I kind of use it like an old man. I go there.
Which is probably better.
I kind of go there, figure out how to fix my dryer, and then I leave. But once in a while, I get sucked into the rabbit hole, and I feel like I was just like up late one night watching Godzilla or something, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Who's this guy?" And then I went down your feed for a while, and I was like, "Man, I like this guy. I need to get him on the podcast." Fast forward, it was a Gear Fest. I saw you kind of run by in a blur, and I was like, "Oh, I want to talk." There you go. Okay, well, now I got to go over here, and I was like, I should just shoot him a message, and now here we are.
You definitively saw me running. I was 100%. I was like, there is no question that I was running, like, not walking.
Same. I was at least power sprinting, at the very least, if not full blown jogging. Like it's just, that was a crazy, crazy time. But I'm glad we're doing this now.
Absolutely, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah. So obviously found your YouTube channel, really enjoyed it, but I don't know your story at all. So when did you start playing and how did you get into doing all this stuff?
So it's me starting playing is a very weird, interesting story. So the technical answer of when I started playing was when I was 12. My best friend, he had a guitar, and I was like, I want to do that too.
Sure.
And I played for probably 6 months to a year, something like that. My mom had me in lessons, and I was basically any other 12 or 13-year-old kid who just didn't care. Like I have like vivid memories of my guitar teacher. His name was Sala, and our other one was I think his name was Andrew, and there was one guy named Chris. I had like 3 teachers in the span of like 6 months or a year. But they would beg me, like, please, 15 minutes a day. That's all I'm asking for you to practice. And I'd be like, SpongeBob's on.
It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Yeah. So we would play, literally, we played the same song, I think, for a year. Like the first or second song just went nowhere. And then
What song was that?
Don't remember.
Oh, okay.
It was we were trying to learn. They were trying to teach me to sight read.
Okay.
And after 6 months or a year, I quit. And then I didn't pick up a guitar again for another 5 or 6 years. And then when I was, it's kind of like a movie moment. When I was 18, I was in college and I went to the movies and I saw the second Hobbit movie.
Okay.
And at the end of it, I don't know if you know the Ed Sheeran song "I See Fire." He's got a cool little lick in there.
Okay.
And it was like a moment of like, this is like, I've never heard I've heard guitars played before, but that right there, for some reason in my head, just, I need to do this.
Okay.
And I picked up a guitar after that.
Wow. At 18. Okay, so you kind of did at 12, which is a pretty normal age, I feel like, for picking up an instrument. But 18 is where it really hit, and it was Ed Sheeran of all things. I don't think that's a normal story.
No, no, it was like he was really big at the time, and that song has a really cool guitar lick in it, acoustic lick in it. But I literally don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the right time. So around a couple of different friends who played guitar, but for some reason that moment, I like something literally opened in my mind where I was like, I've never heard anything like that.
I know that feeling. Like, we all have a moment like that, I feel like, in our lives.
What was yours?
I have a few, but like, I think the thing guitar was always around growing up. My dad plays, and a lot of old country stuff that was always interesting to me. But like, I've told this story a few times, but I think if I can distill it down to like a moment that really hit for me, I was sitting in the Safeway parking lot waiting for my mom in Gladstone, Oregon, waiting for her, and I was sitting in, like, I think she had an 89 Chevy Cavalier or something, some just like bucket, and like Linkin Park started playing on the radio, and I was like, "What is that?"
What song was it?
It was One Step Closer. It was when they
one step closer to the end.
Yeah, because I was like, well, I didn't know you could like scream on the radio. And like, what are those guitars doing? Those don't sound normal. I thought it was a bass. I thought when I was hearing like all those new metal bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit and all the stuff that was happening at the time, I thought I was hearing like distorted bass because I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard. I was like, oh, you can tune a guitar differently? I didn't know that was a thing that you could do. And so I like thought I wanted to play bass. I remember like calling Guitar Center and be like, do you have any bass amps that have distortion? And they're like, what is this kid talking about? My dad isn't really a gear guy, so he didn't know either. He just like played acoustic guitar and that was his thing. And so he had no answers for me, and there was no internet. So I was just calling people I thought should know. And they were like, this kid's on crack. What is he talking about? This doesn't make any sense. So it took me a while. I was well into actually just playing regular guitar before I realized like, oh, drop D is a thing. And that changed my whole life. So yeah, I've been trying to tune lower ever since.
How low do you get?
Typically, like, I don't honestly, despite what my online blabberings would lead people to believe, like, drop C is pretty normal. You know,
Okay.
my
Yeah,
seven
that's
and
not.
that's not crazy. You know,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's not.
I play
like,
baritone a lot, so that's in B. You know, but that's normal baritone tuning. Sometimes I'll drop it in A. I got an 8-string that I'll just go wackadoo with and put it into all kinds of different things. I don't even remember what the last tuning was I put it in, but it's got a 95 on the low end, and yeah, that gets pretty chuggy. But if I don't go quite as insane as I would, you know, lead people to believe sometimes.
Yeah.
But that was it for me. Yeah, it was. I mean, there's other moments, of course, but I think that was the first time I was listening to the guitar and going, "What is that? How do I do that? What is that? Huh?" Was on that new metal stuff for sure.
I want to say, yeah. I think the Ed Sheeran thing was there was one more moment when I knew I had to do it for a living, but that was the moment where I was like,
Dove
okay.
in. So
Yeah,
what was it like from there? Like, let's get to that moment where you knew you wanted to do it for a living. Let's get to that part.
So, I did I did that. So I did the Ed Sheeran thing, and so I went back to school. I went to this like small Christian college in Pittsburgh, near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that no one's ever heard of. It's called Grove City College, and there's a bunch of acoustic guitar players there. And so my all the guys living next to me, they played the acoustic guitar, and they were strummers. Some of them knew a little bit more, whatever. And my friend, who turned out to be my future roommate, his name, and he was like, "Hey, you should come to my house for spring break." And I'm like, "Dope." So I went to his house for spring break, and one day we're just chilling, and I was up early for some reason, and I found a video of John Mayer playing Neon in one of his live performances in like 2003. I don't know what it was about that video or that moment. At that moment, I was like, I need to do this for a living.
Wow.
I cannot fathom doing anything else. And
so you were at college at the time. Were you already starting to go down a different career path, or were you what were you doing?
I wanted to do sports journalism.
Hey, that's cool too. Hey, I get it. Yeah.
And it's wild that I made that decision. Not even just because I think that playing guitar for a living is a very like that's a very big dream, obviously. But I knew about like 8 chords at the time.
Sure. Well, sure. I mean, that's 3 more than I know now. So you were in good shape. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of from there it was just like so that year I was a freshman in college, and my second semester of my freshman year of college, all I did was play guitar. This is everything. Like I went to class. I still went to class, but outside of class, I would come back from class at like 3 p.m., maybe 4. Outside of eating dinner, I didn't leave my couch. And at one point, my GPA was a 0.9.
Yeah. 0.9. That's like
0.9.
That's actually impressive in the other way, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
And
you have to try to get a 0.9.
And the funny thing, so the crazy thing is I got it back up to a 1.9, which my first semester GPA got me to a 2.0 something. And I was very close to getting kicked out of school. My parents don't know that part. They just know, because my parents were very academics focused, and they just know like our kid has like a 2 point something GPA, and we are like losing our minds. And I'm like, but guitar. And they're like, 6 months ago, you never even mentioned the guitar.
You don't understand, Mom.
You don't.
It has
understand.
6 strings on it.
Yeah, literally.
Look at it. It's so cool.
And I like I get where everyone was coming from because it must have been so weird. And I have an obsessive personality just in general, but like
Sure.
it must have been so weird for everyone to be like, you've never expressed even liking music that much before, and now you're like, oh my gosh, if I don't learn this new riff by Tuesday, I'm just gonna lose it.
Life has no meaning. I will leave this earth.
I must Clapton or whatever.
Yes.
I was like at the time. But yeah, that was pretty much it for like a lot of my like early beginnings with the guitar were just like college, just every day. Everyone knew, everyone on my hall, I was in a fraternity or whatever. Everyone in my fraternity was like, Mike's just the kid. He doesn't come to stuff. He doesn't do anything. He just stays in his room. There was a poll that one of the guys in our fraternity put out, and it was just simple 22-year-old dude stuff, and they had a ranking list of who was the most whipped to their girlfriends, and they would be like, at number 7. Tyler is the most whipped because he's never here. At number 6, and I think I came in 3rd. They were like, Mike is 3rd because he's whipped to his guitars.
That's kind of amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird though when it gets you. You know, and I always thought, I've had things that I get into over time, and then maybe they kind of fade out a little bit. I'm really into it for 3 to 5 years, and then maybe okay, well, that was cool, but not into whatever it happened to be anymore. Or then maybe it comes back later in life, whatever. But like guitar has always been the constant. Once I found that, it was just like, I just love it. But kind of differently than you, I never thought I was going to be able to have a career doing it. I'm not that good at it, even though I love it, but I'm not that good at it. I knew I didn't want to tour. Like, that looks miserable. I'm not built for that. I hate road trips. I don't want to tour around. And the only thing I really liked doing was just being in the studio and searching for sounds and just nerding out. And that was my favorite thing. And I was like, hi, there's not really a career. I didn't know that like it was possible to go study engineering or something. I was just like, I don't know. I'm going to be a mechanic, I guess. I'll just do this on the weekends.
Yeah.
And it took a long time for me to realize, oh, wait, there's all these gear people on the internet. There's all this other stuff. There's these other avenues. Oh, there's a million ways that you can make a living in this business. There's so many that aren't standing on stage being the guitar god or whatever. It took me a long time to figure that out.
And I think that's the cool thing. And I think that's where, I guess this is just my opinion. I feel like that's where a lot of people get lost in the sauce. Into like we're all 18 or 19 and we want to be Steve Vai. And it's like, and I'm not saying don't go for your dreams or whatever, or don't like really work for it. But there are other avenues that I think are really cool and just as important. And maybe it's because of social media, because we all want to be like the guy. But
sure.
Yeah, I think that there are a million other avenues that like we don't hear about because we're all like want to be the 5 million stream on Spotify guy who goes on tour and has a private jet or whatever.
Yeah, and the reality is that, and I've said this before, you get online and you'll see all these different opinions about the state of the music industry, and it's really bad for artists, or this is great for artists, or this is wonderful. And I kind of look at it, I wasn't obviously around in the 60s and 70s, but I feel like there are thousands of bands and possibly millions of musicians that really made a go at it that we've never heard of. Some of which maybe were awesome and we would have loved if we had ever gotten to hear them. But they spent their time grinding it out in the club circuit, going round and round and round, and we never got to hear them be recorded, or it got a small circulation, it didn't pick up, they moved on and said, hey, I gotta make a living, switch to a career. Like there's so many people like that. And now that still exists. It's only like a fraction of a percent of artists that has ever gotten to private jet levels, ever, throughout any kind of music history. The music industry itself didn't even happen until recording started happening.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there was a few composers here and there that people had heard of, but your average person couldn't go to a store, pick up an instrument, and even busk on the street hardly. Like, it wasn't really a thing. And now there are thousands of people able to, maybe it's a side gig, maybe they just play bars on weekends, maybe they have a small social media following, like whatever the case may be, it's opened it up to so many more people. I'm like, I think the people in private jets have always been the minority. And now there's way more people able to do this than ever before.
Oh yeah. And I saw there was this girl on Instagram. She is a dope musician. Her name is Rayleigh Nicole. And she won like some contest for songwriting or something, and she had like 1 million streams. It was something crazy like that, and she just kind of disappeared. And this was before I was doing YouTube or anything for a living or whatever. And she came out, and all I could think to myself was, you had it. Why would you go away? And she came out with this post one day. It was just an Instagram story where she was like, not doing this full time doesn't make you any less of a musician.
100%.
And I was like, oh, dang, that's good.
100%.
Like, just like with the private jet thing that you're saying, that is 0.1% of 0.1% of people.
And it always has been.
And that's not saying that those people aren't talented, because I feel like you could get down the other rabbit hole of being like, they're just famous because they whatever. And it's like, they're still good, but that doesn't discredit your craft.
No. I think that's really important. I've said it on the show a few times, and other guests have too, but I think it's worth reiterating. You don't have to be doing this full time.
No.
It doesn't matter. You're not any better of a person because you are. And maybe you don't even want to. So there's something to be said for keeping your passion and letting work be something else. There's something to be said for that.
I feel like I've played with some like absolute ballers just due to like ran circles around anything I could want to be, and it's just like they would never ever consider wanting to do music full time.
That's fine. It's weird. I think we do that to ourselves more than even like the world actually telling us that necessarily. I think for some reason we all get it in our heads like, well, if we're not touring and playing 5,000 cap rooms, and we're not real musicians, or we're not really doing it, or some nonsense. And that's just something we put in our brain somehow. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah. And like for me personally, like I'm really proud of what I do right now. Like I really like that I get to do music full time, but it's weird. Like, I don't know, you always get the question of like, if your 19 or 20-year-old self could see you now, like what would they say? And like mine would probably be like, you're a failure. Like
you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it was like private jet or bust.
Okay.
Because I'm like, so like 19-year-old me would have been like, so what's it like touring with Mayer and Clapton on the biggest 3-way tour like in the world? And I'd be like, I'm not, and I'm not even that good. And he'd be like, you're a disgrace.
You're a disgrace. How dare
all
you?
We worked for.
Yeah, I had a completely different mindset because I really, really didn't think I was going to be doing anything. I thought music was just going to cost me money the rest of my life. I didn't have any inclination that I could do anything. So I think my teenage self would be a little bit like, you're going to do what? Like, you're going to talk to people on the internet for money? Like, I don't think that's probably going to work. You know, I don't understand, kind of the same things that like my whole family probably thought at some point. They were always supportive, but they're like, I don't understand this at all.
Yeah. Oh, oh no, it's explaining it to anybody, like family, friends. It's very difficult. I have the most supportive family. You know, my mom watches every single video. My dad watches every single video, but still like explaining it to people who, like, even to friends, like it can get like, so you do what?
Right.
But what do you do like for, and what do you do for a living? Oh, I do YouTube. But what do you do like for money?
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, well, so I have it even worse because I do so little on YouTube, which is,
Yeah.
I'm working to correct, but I don't do a lot on YouTube. And so people are like, so you're a podcast like on YouTube? Like you do a YouTube? I'm like, well, it's on YouTube, but that's not where most people listen to it at. It's, it's like Apple and Spotify and stuff. And they're like, I don't understand. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm, it's getting better because at least people, when I started in like 2016 or so. People were like, well, what's a podcast?
Well, and I think it kind of goes back into the private jet thing too, because like when I tell people I do YouTube, they're like you make money from that? I'm like, yeah, and they're like, well, don't you have to have like 1 million subscribers to make money for that?
I guess I did run into the opposite thing last summer.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy. He ran a store here in Portland, or still does, I believe, and he was like, wow, yeah, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I do this podcast and, yada. I modulate my answer kind of depending on like, because I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's all centered around guitar, but, I'm like, oh, I'm part owner of a string company if it's somebody I really don't think is going to get it, type of thing. And this guy explained it, and he had the opposite reaction. He's like, oh, so you got it like that. I'm like, no, not like Joe Rogan. Like, it's not that kind of thing. But like his eyes got big, like he was just talking to like a bazillionaire. I'm like, no. This is the first time I've ever had this reaction. Usually people think I'm homeless.
Yeah. I get the homeless thing. Like for me, I don't know. I always joke around with my friends that, so like one day I'll meet some girl, I'll fall in love, and I'll go and meet her dad. And he'll be like, son, what do you do for a living? How do you provide? And I'll be like, I'm a YouTuber. And he'll be like, get out.
Get out.
Get
out.
Don't.
Now.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally. And yeah, there's been that scenario a couple times.
Leave my home, please. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Vincent, and I'm here to talk about the Maris Mercury X. My dad's always going on and on about how cool Maris is. He really went off on one about the Mercury X the other day. He said something about a 4800 hertz sample rate and 99 preset locations and 33 banks, and something along the lines of the most advanced reverb pedal ever devised by man? That's all true, but I only care about one thing. This pedal sounds sick. So make sure you check out the Mercury X and all the other fine products at maris.us, as well as fine retailers worldwide. All right, Dad, now can I have my Pocky?
How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services. And it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there. We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, Right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the gear exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby because, let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff.
So let's go a little bit back here. So
Yeah.
you were obsessed. You were whipped by the guitar.
Yep.
You knew you were going to do it for a living.
Yep.
Thought it was going to be private jet life.
Yep.
What was the next step?
Okay, so the next step is weird. So, because in college, I played guitar every single day, but I didn't practice that hard. And I didn't, I would play for 6 hours, but I would just noodle. I don't think I knew how to practice at all. I can count on one hand the amount of times I pulled out a metronome. That didn't even start till last year. But I just didn't know how to practice. And I was again, like I said, I was at a small Christian college, 2,400 people. I thought I was so good. I thought because I would tell my friends, I'm going to play guitar for a living. I'm willing to give up this, and this. And they had been around the game. They knew what was up, but I was just pretty kind of delusional. And I was like, you guys don't get me. You guys don't get how talented I am. And so no one ended up seeing me. And I would call myself at that point actively a bad guitarist.
Wow.
Just actively, I knew how to strum. I knew the pentatonic, but I couldn't play in time. My hands were shaking whenever I played. But so after college, everyone's getting a job. And I go to work. I get a call one day from this company in Philadelphia. They were like, "Hey, Mike, we definitely we saw your resume online." And I was like, "I'm going to move to Philly. I'm going to be a part of the Philly music scene. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to get noticed as a singer songwriter, and everyone's going to private jet. Here we come." I get to the job, and it's a pyramid scheme. Within 2 days, I realized this is not a real thing, and realized it's a company. They change their name every year or so. They just scam people all across Philadelphia. So I quit, and I'm left there in Philly. I did my grades were obvious. I barely graduated, and I have no skills, and I was just I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I find online. There's this recording school. I got scammed a lot at this time in my life. There's this recording school.
Oh no!
And they their big claim. I don't know if anyone knows or has heard of them. I'm not going to say their name, but their big claim is that they have a 60 or 70% job placement rate in the music industry.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this. So
yeah, and so I hear this as thinking I'm the next great guitar player, the next BB King. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to learn to be an engineer because I loved writing songs. I had just gotten Logic and started performing a couple songs. And so I start doing this thing while I'm working at Guitar Center. And I worked part-time at Guitar Center, 25 hours a week, probably. And their big thing was we're going to put you in an actual studio with an actual engineer. And you're not going to intern, but you're going to be there and they're going to teach you. And what it ended up being for me was I was at this studio with this old dude. And every week I would go to the studio. He would be like, "Do you know what a compressor is?" And I would be like, "Nope." And he'd be like, "It's dynamic signal processing. You squash the signal. Hold on. Why don't you sit in this back room? I have another tour for the studio for another student. You study. I'll be back." Then he'd give his other prospective student a tour because he got a big commission bonus the more students he signed. Okay. And then he would come back to me and he would be like, "Hey, do you have any more questions about compression?" And I'd be like, "No, not really." And we'd talk for another 15 or 20 minutes and then I would go home, and that would happen once a week.
And that was your class, quote
That
unquote?
was my school. That was my school.
So what do you know about compressors?
It's dynamic signal processing.
You know what? You're right.
And, well, I know about it now.
Of course.
But at the time,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so cool. I was like taking notes. And so after 6 months, the program ends. And I'm like, so you're going to like job? So I don't have a job. I quit Guitar Center. I have to move back in with my parents because I have basically nothing. And every week the career services guy from that school would call me and he'd go, so Mike, my name is John. And I'm like, John, we talked last week. And he's like, I'm the career services guy. I'm here to help you. Tell me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be an in-studio engineer. And he goes, so, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds really good. Let me reach out my feelers. Let me see what's happening around the country, see what's going down, and I'll call you back in a week.
Okay.
And I'll have some I'll maybe have some jobs for you. Wouldn't call me back for a month, you know. A month later, he'd call me back and he'd be like, Mike, remind me what you wanted to do again.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, it was a awful situation. And again, I'm sitting at home. I have no job. I'm like 22, and like it's getting to embarrassing levels of like you got to do something. Like it's been 4 or 5 months of just waking up every day, getting in Logic. My dad's starting to give me these looks of like, you're going to be out very soon.
Right.
Like rightly so.
Like, let me tell you.
Yeah. He's giving me I remember one time specifically, he just gave me the dad look of like,
Yep.
And I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm just like, what are you looking at me for? Dad, I'm trying to make art in Logic, okay? And he's like, who is Logic? What is Logic? Does Logic pay money?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting a good feel for this scenario now. Okay. I'm understanding this. I'm liking this story. All right. Go on.
So I did that for 5 or 6 months, and I sent out a resume to every studio I could find online in America. Every single one said no. Every single one said no. Rightly so, because they were just like, you did a what program? Yeah. And you want us to pay you to be an engineer here? Like, one specific guy said, hey kid, you're young. Obviously you're excited. I'm going to tell you the truth. You do not want this job. You don't want this job at all. I am divorced. I am lonely. I spend all of my time with microphones. Don't go down this career path. I was like, shoot, man. I'm sorry. So me and my mom go to the story. Yeah. So where it kind of picks up is me and my mom go to Nashville for the weekend. And because she's like, you just need to get out of here. Let's go to Nashville. We'll see it. We'll see what's up. And do you know Andrew Masters?
Yeah. I'm not like buddies with him, but I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, we go to Guitar Hall of Fame, the Music Hall of Fame, see some stuff. It was really cool. And on our way back to the airport, we were like around downtown Nashville, and my mom's like, we'll Uber to the airport. I'm like, dope. So we get in this Uber. So we call the Uber. We get in this Uber, and I'm like, we've been in Nashville for like 2 to 3 days. I'm a stuck-up teenager, or early 20s, basically teenager. I have my headphones in. Like, I'm not trying to talk to anyone. My mom's a mom, so she's, shacking it out. She's like, so where are you from?
Yeah.
With the Uber driver. And I'm just sitting in the back, like arms crossed, like, I want to go home and get back to Logic.
Yeah.
And our Uber driver is like, well, I'm actually from I'm from I was living in California for a while, and I was a studio engineer. And while he's doing this in the background, he has on his Spotify John Mayer album, Where the Light Is. And me being the gigantic fan I was at the time, I like take out my earbuds and I'm like, you got good taste in music, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, thank you. You like this? I'm like, dude, I know everything about this. I know everything about him. And he goes, I actually worked with Mayer when I was in LA. And I said, stop the car. Stop the you did what? And he's like, yeah, I did a lot of stuff. I worked with Mayer. I worked with I think he had recently worked with John Legend, and he'd done a couple things. And I was like, what? I was just like, my heart is beating. And my mom she's so great. She just goes, she's trying to be the networker. She's like, why don't you guys exchange numbers? And so,
and this is like, Andrew?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. And so we exchanged numbers. I moved out to Nashville probably 3 or 4 months later. And I start hitting him up because I'm like, dude, he was working in studios. He was doing Uber a little bit, but he was trying to work in this one studio in like East Nashville. And so he would text me every once in a while, and I was working like odd jobs, doing whatever I could find. He would text me like on a Monday night, and he would say, dude, we're having someone come in tomorrow, some random artist in town, come through the studio, come hang out. And like I'd be like, drop all my plans. At one point I was in Mississippi because I thought this was like my key. I was gonna, hang out with Andrew, and then someone was gonna notice me, and then whatever would happen. But I believe
that's kind of how kind of how it works. That's better than what you were doing before.
Yeah. And so, like one time specifically, I remember Avengers Endgame came out, and I'm like a huge Marvel nerd or whatever, and I'm in Mississippi, and me and my friend have this whole weekend planned. Like this entire weekend, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna go to the movies 3 or 4 times and watch this thing. So it's like Monday, one of my best buddies is like, I'm gonna give you a whole tour around Ole Miss, the school he was going to, and I get a text from Andrew like, come to the studio tomorrow. I go, I gotta go. Like I'm like I like this could like I don't know when, but like I need to go there. So I would go and hang out. Nothing big. It was literally just like local artists like doing their thing. And one day I go and he says, Mike, so I'm really into YouTube right now. And I was like, well, that's dumb. Like, just in my mind, I'm like, okay, who cares? And he has like a little soft box, and he's like filming with his eye. Like he has like the starter kit for every YouTuber. And he's like, I want you to be in one of my videos, which he cut me out of, by the way. I did a whole section just like trashing that music school that we were just talking about. A whole section. Just cut me out. I probably wasn't that good at cocking a camera. It's fine. I was just joking. But he starts doing YouTube, and he starts really going hard at it. And I was like, cool. And then he leaves that studio where he's working at, and he goes back to like, I think Ubering and part-time YouTubing. And then he goes full time. Like, and we ended up hanging out like once every 3 to 6 months. We'd catch up, and I'd go to his house where he had his studio, and it would just get bigger every time. And every time I would go there, he would be like, bro, I'm at 20,000 subs. Bro, I'm at 40,000 subs. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, you're doing this for real? Like this is actually working. I thought it was the craziest thing ever. And every time I go there, Andrew is a brilliant producer, brilliant recording engineer. Every time I go there, we would play music, and I'd just be so inspired. Because again, I was working, I was basically at this time working for every cell phone company that's out there. I worked for about a 6-month period before I would quit for something stupid. One time specifically, I guess this is where we kind of get to where we are now.
Okay.
I go to his house one day in 2021, and in February, I was working for a certain phone company who I have right now, whose internet goes out sometimes during podcasts. And
they don't have a giant tower in Nashville, do they?
They might. I'm working for them. On my day off, I go to Andrew's house. And I was posting a couple videos every once in a while. Just a couple videos of me jamming, whatever. And I go and I show him the video. I'm like, hey, you inspired me to make this video. And he looks at it and he goes, fix your framing. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, sure.
So it might have been that night. It might have been the next day or the next week or something. I made another video. I called it The Moment I Knew John Mayer Was Next Level. And it's just me playing an old Mayer song on my telly. Whatever. Nothing huge. It's like 30 seconds long. I fixed the framing. He comments like, nice framing. And that was in February of 2021. That video gets like 100 views, which is pretty standard for what my videos got at the time. 9 months later, I'm working for a different phone company. That video still has 100 views. And because of a situation that, and I will admit, and I try to take accountability with these sort of things in life, I was let go for something that was, I think, was absolutely ridiculous. Like something so ridiculous and not even funny. But I had basically at that point decided that I know music's not going to happen for me full time. I know it's not going to happen. Like it's just, it's a pipe dream. I'm starting to at the time I was starting to like go on dates with girls and like saying you're unemployed. Just not cool.
Right.
Not saying like I'm going to do music. I have 300 Instagram followers and sometimes I know it just wasn't working. So I was like, I have to settle down.
Especially in Nashville. We're like, so is everybody, right?
Literally everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, music's not going to happen for me full time. I've accepted that, which I thought was okay. I got this job thinking to myself, I'm going to be at this job until one of two things happens, until I can do music full time or until they fire me. And so after 3 months, they fired me.
You're like, well, okay.
So I decide. So at that point, I've had like how many jobs? I have no job skill. I don't have any like particular skills. I'm kind of a good salesman in the cell phone world, and I don't want to do sales anymore. So I just start driving for Uber because I have no clue what to do, just none whatsoever. And so that while I'm driving for Uber, I was doing this for 3 or 4 months. My parents are like, don't you have a degree? I'm like, I've had 6 jobs in the past 2 years. Like everyone knows I'm leaving. No one wants to hire me. And while I'm driving, that video that I posted that Andrew had told me like to fix my framing on, that had 100 views after like 9 months, all of a sudden it had like 10,000. I was like, that's like, again, that's not gonna make you a career, but
it's interesting.
It's interesting. Like that's weird. So I keep driving, and like I'm driving not every day, but like 5 or 6 days a week. And I was going pretty hard. Like I play guitar at the church I go to, and so I would finish on Sundays at like 3 p.m. and I would drive until 1 a.m, like 12:30, like something like that. We just have these all day, and while I'm doing this, I'm checking my YouTube stats, and now it's at 90,000. I'm like again, it's not going to make me a career, but knowing that like for the egotistical maniac I was and have been, knowing that I had 100,000 people watch me play guitar on you, like that's a cool thing. Not going to make me a career, but that's a really cool thing. Like, hey, I have a YouTube video with 100,000 views. How crazy is that? That video just keeps going.
I've seen it.
Yeah, like it just it's just like 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I'm like, what? Like my videos usually get 500 views is a great day. We're like we're going to Buffalo Wild Wings and celebrating for 500 views. My friend over up in Pennsylvania, she was engaged to this dude, great dude. He's a guitar player, and she doesn't know that any of this is happening, and she texts me like, so my fiance is watching guitar videos, and like yours is like popping up. Like I'd never met this dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and he's like, oh, this is great. Come look at this, honey. And she's like, oh, yeah, I know him. That's Mike. And so all this is happening. I think I had like 200 subscribers at the time. I go up to like 2,000 or 3,000, and I'm like, why don't I just keep posting? So I post a video about Nashville guitar players, and in a week it gets like 100,000 views or something. And like, I just don't know what's happening. Like, I just don't know at all. So I asked Andrew, and he's like, have you monetized yet? And I was like, how do I do that? And yeah, from there it was just kind of the roller coaster of I just kept posting videos about like guitar stuff that I thought was funny, and a lot of them was just like me making fun of myself and guitar players like me, like John Mayer fans, Strat players, Tele players, like whatever, and it just kept going.
And now here we are.
Yeah.
So when did you go, like, obviously, like, things start picking up rather quickly, but when did you go, like, okay, I'm not like embarrassed to tell people what I do now, because this is actually, I have something to show them, like, when did that turn for you?
I think it was a couple videos in, because like at that point I was still looking for a job, and I had about like 7 or 8, I maybe had like 9 or 10,000 subscribers, something like that. And I had this job lined up, and I was talking to my buddy, and the job was meant to start May 1st. And I just kind of said, I don't know what's going to happen, but screw it. Like, doing YouTube would be much better in my mind at that time than whatever insurance job that was.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I was like, okay, I'm and even I feel like I've built this up, like I said, to a place I'm pretty proud of. But I feel like even now, just because of like some of the stigmas around like the Gen Z kids saying they're influencers and all of that, like sometimes I still don't necessarily, like, I'm a little bit scared someone asks me what I do to be like, I'm a YouTuber. Like most of the time I just say guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
And then we dig deeper from there, and they're like, so what does that mean? Do you play in a band? And I'm like, no.
No. Yeah, it is weird because like when I got started doing like guitar stuff online, like influencer was a brand new term.
Yeah.
It was like I said, 2015, 2016. There wasn't even really a word for it yet. And I don't like that word. I think it's really, really strange. But I also understand that there's not a great description for it. So you got to call it something, I guess.
That's kind of the context of the world that you have to live in a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you don't want to, and I'm with you, I think it's a really dirty word, because I feel like in people's mind, you say influencer, like immediately go to like some kid on TikTok who's dancing, or like something that's just seen as kind of lazy.
Right. And even the stuff that, like, if it is a TikTok dancing video or whatever, like even the stuff that is kind of silly, like I think if people really understood how consistent and how like much you have to do to make these things work, they'd realize that it's not lazy. If you're really doing it, even if it's content that I don't like, lazy is not a descriptor for most of these people. It really isn't.
No, like the lazy. There are people out there who are blessed with very symmetrical faces, who can dance and like just make stupid videos and have, Dunkin' Donuts pay them $125,000 to dance for 7 seconds. Like, that's whatever. But like for the most part, I get kind of, and I do not want to ever say that like my job is harder than like some dude who's in Iraq right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Of course.
I understand that I'm not, what I'm doing is not like, I'm not in the mines. However, I will say that I think there's this stigma sometimes, and I'm sure you get this with editing podcasts and stuff, where it's like, some of my friends will be like, what do you even do? Like, you make 10-minute video a week. What do you just like talk to a camera for 10 minutes and then take naps the rest of the day? And I'm like,
I wish.
one, even if that were true, I wouldn't want to do that. Number two, I don't think you get that, like, because of the research I have to do sometimes, depending, because I'm, super critical of my own playing because I didn't say that thing right, and talking to a camera is really hard. That 10-minute video might have taken 30 or 40 hours of work.
Mm-hmm.
Like
for real. Yeah.
That hour podcast, I have no clue how long it takes you to edit this, but like, I don't know. I think that a lot of the people, my friends I talk to, probably because of stigma is behind social media and whatnot, will be like, hey, I want to get into, I want to do what you do. And I'm like, that's cool. I want you to do what I do. And it's like, yeah, dude, I just want to do it because I want to live like an easy life where I don't have to do that much work and all I do is like noodle all day. And I'm like, you really think all I do is noodle all day? Like, you like, yeah, I had one friend in particular who like, he's an incredible guitar player, and he's like, dude, I want to be a YouTuber. I'm like, great. Like, I don't think you understand like some of the perks I'm sure are there, like some of the perceived perks of getting to do this for a living, which I love and I'm super thankful for, that like I can go and hang out with Andrew Masters, because he's my neighbor, and we can just chill on a Tuesday afternoon. But like, also, like, there are days where it's 2 a.m. and I'm still editing, and it's just like I'm just sitting in Final Cut trying to learn to do this one thing, and it's not all just guitar playing. It's like 5-6 different things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
what I've told people, how I was able to make it work. I had a pretty good full-time job that I'd been at for a long time. I'd been working full time since I was 16, so it was like,
yeah,
I had the kids, I had a wife, still have, fortunately, thankfully. Like I had all these responsibilities, so it wasn't even a thing where I could just unplug and just do this. So what I've told people, and I actually genuinely mean this, even though it sounds a little bit like I'm being facetious or something, like, okay, if you want to do this, this is what I did. You work 3 full-time jobs for about 3 years, and then you pick the one that is going to work for you. Because that's what I did. I basically did social media consulting. I did the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I was working the job, and I was also helping out at Stringjoy all at the same time. I was putting in, I don't even know how many hours a week. I have no idea. It was nonstop for about 3 years. And I finally got to a point where I was like, I'm physically done.
Yeah.
And I cannot continue to do all of this anymore.
No.
I think that these things I've been doing, quote unquote, on the side / other full time are enough to sustain me, and can I move on from this? And I was like, I think so.
Yeah.
But it was 3 years of that before it was ever to a place where I was like, yeah, this will be no problem. Yeah. And I still had a bunch of fear around it. It was like, still like, wow, it's been working pretty well for a while, but man, is it going to be enough? And literally yesterday, the 30th, was 8 years since I'd been at that job. So I'm like,
congrats, dude.
I'm like, whoo, it's been a ride. It's been a ride.
I feel like because I've been doing this for 2 years now in April, and like I feel like those milestones mean so much, just because I'm sure it's just our sense of panic because there's no boss or whatever. Some days, for me, every day I think it's going to go down tomorrow. Like,
oh yeah,
it's all going to come raining down. You have one bad video and you're like, that's it. People don't care. People hate me now. And then you're like, so like every year, like, wow, 2 years, 3 years, 40. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I think having a sense of that, or not a sense of that, but having that feeling is probably a bit of a good thing because it helps
Yeah.
drive you. Not that you want to be walking on eggshells and nervous all the time, but I think it does help push you. But I
Yeah.
can say, at least in my experience, once you get past like year 5, and if you look at things critically, you can go, okay, it's not all going to dry up overnight. And if I pay attention, if I keep paying attention, I'll see it coming if something looks like it's going to be a problem, you know?
Well, that's, I feel like, been the biggest thing for me in doing this, especially with YouTube. Like, just being like, okay, like looking myself in the mirror and being like, a year from now, what you're doing won't look completely different, but it might look very different from what you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between you and somebody else might be that you're willing to look at yourself when it's not working and make a change and not just die with the ship.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
And like, I've seen a lot of people, I think myself included, I could have been one of these, like, because I was doing the guitar comedy videos for a while, and they were just taking off, and like there are a lot of people like that who just died with the ship, and like, you know, these things start to change, and they're like, I'm gonna keep going, and I want to, like, I don't want to ever lose my integrity and just like always be chasing the next big thing. But I want to be honest with myself about when something's no longer working, or when something's becoming a gimmick, and like just being like, you like, just because something worked yesterday does not mean it's going to work today.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. I'd already been doing a ton of content by this point. So I finally hopped over to TikTok a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I still hate that platform and I still barely do anything on it. But I did have a couple of videos, but I just did off the cuff with the Ranger mini bar pedal. I don't know if you saw that one. You pour the liquid in it. I just, all I did, I was like, I don't know, this stupid TikTok platform. I'm just like boomering all over the place. Just like, rah! And I was like, well, whatever. And I was literally like making a sandwich and just had the pedal sitting there for some reason. And I was just like, grab my phone. It's like, hey, look, you put liquid in this thing, it changes the sound. Ha, isn't that crazy? Ha ha ha. And put it back down. And then I was like, yeah, just put it on TikTok. I don't care. And and it got like 300,000 views or something. And then so I did the video that everybody asked me to do, which is like, well, put something in it and make it make sounds. I'm like, yeah, that would be logical, wouldn't it? And so I did that, and those videos didn't do even a quarter as well. And so somebody said, like a lot of people are like, I'm going to come back in a month and I know you're still going to be milking this pedal. And I'm like, I'm not, because this is a fluke. You can't recreate this. What am I going to do? Every day come on here and be like, this pedal, you can put liquid in it. Guess what? You can put liquid in it. Like, no.
I feel one of the worst things you can, and it's hard to do that unless you're willing to die with your ship, is just becoming a gimmick guy. Like, just becoming like the guy who's only known for one thing and can only do one thing and is too stubborn to learn anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's different than like having a thing that you're really into and that comes across to people. But like when you're just literally going back to the same, you know, some of it's going to be the same. We're guitar players. There's only so many things to talk about. But like, if I had just literally kept hitting that same pedal over and over again for, like, who cares at some point? Who cares? Nobody cares.
Well, that's what I kind of think. I hope I can represent this the best way. I felt that a lot with some of the guys who are like big time, like just big time shredders. And I'm not saying that like being like, I'm not using this as an excuse, because my technical ability is super poor and I need to work on this. Like, I need to work on this. But there has been a point where I've watched some dudes on YouTube who can just shred out, like, just, they can play as fast as humanly possible. And I'm like, at some point, I'm not anti-shredding. I want to learn to shred, and I'm actively trying to. But at some point, that does become a parlor trick where every single video is just, look at this thing I can do. Look at this. Guys, check it. Remember how I was playing crazy fast yesterday? Well, I'm playing crazy fast today. And it's like, okay, That's it. Like if I wanted to watch shredding, I'll go watch Tim Henson. Like
Sure.
I'll go watch someone. Like, what are you bringing to me that no one else is?
Mhm.
And I think that the guys who are really special are the guys like the Paul Davids and the Rhett Schultz who can play out of their minds, but they're almost just as good as the craft of YouTube or social media as they are at guitar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what sets them apart.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Good Hertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblissaudio.com. I think you're gonna like what you find.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.
Hey everyone, this is Tuck from Fit for a King, an off-road minivan. Every week I bring you fun interviews alongside your favorite metalcore entertainers with my new podcast, Get Tucked. Join me every Monday with bands like Counterparts, Crystal Lake, like Moths to Flames, and many more. We play unsigned and undiscovered bands, deep dive into each artist's history, and of course provide the greatest breakdowns in current metalcore. Tune in to Get Tucked every Monday, out now through Sound Talent Media.
I wish I was even a quarter as good at guitar as I am at talking. That'd be a miracle.
Dude, I wish the same thing. Dude, if I wish I was as and that's another hard thing to explain to people. I think sometimes, like when I'm like, what do you do for a living? Like, oh, I'm a guitar player. Oh, you must be amazing. Not really. I know a couple chords. Oh, you're so humble. You're trying to be so humble. Oh, you're probably incredible. No. Like what I do is not like being the best guitar player in the world is not a requirement.
No, not at all. Look no further than yours truly. Here we are. You're pretty good though, dude. You don't quite give yourself enough credit. You're pretty good.
I've been practicing more recently, trying to get better. But I try with my channel to make it a point to be like, this is me discovering the world of gear, and like, I'm not trying to come at it from a place of like, I know exactly what I'm talking about, because I don't, like, a lot of the time. But like, this is me discovering how to learn to play and how I'm getting better at learning about gear and tone and whatever this is. But I don't know. I've had a couple friends, and if they ever watch this, they know exactly who they are, because I would tell them this to their face, who are insane players. Like insane players who could never make a living out of music because their playing has become a parlor trick, where they just think someone one day is going to pay me because what I can do is so cool and so awesome and so fast. And I'm just like, bro, you're not bringing any value to anybody. And until like you bring down a little bit of that pride, like nothing's gonna happen.
That's one thing worth noting, though. Like there are, especially in Nashville of all places, there are so many people that are really good, really good. The dude bagging your groceries in Nashville can probably play circles around you.
Yes.
Most likely. Like everybody there is so good. I can't believe how much talent is in that town, just from every citizen practically. But obviously they don't all have careers. So it's not just about how good are you. That's the like minimum.
Oh yeah.
Being decent at your instrument is like the minimum. It's like, yeah, if you want to play basketball, you probably need hands. You know, like, okay, once you got that, just because you got hands and they work really well, doesn't mean you're going to be in the NBA, especially if you're 5'7" like me. This is not going to happen. You know, there's just a lot that goes into it. And also, like you said, okay, cool. You can shred. That's great. What else can you do?
What else
are you interesting? Like, what are you bringing to the table? Oh, can you shred in a way like I always think of like Yvette Young, like she shreds, but it sounds good.
Oh yeah,
it works with it. It's its own thing. I've never heard anybody do it like that before. I don't think anyone would say that she doesn't shred, but
and she
musical.
has a personality and like and like it's so different from what everyone else is doing that you have to pay attention to it. Like there's no way to not.
And everybody likes it. That shit. She's like one of those few people, those like very like unicorn type people, like, and everybody likes her. Like, I can't find anybody. I've never spoken to anybody that doesn't, and if I met them, I probably wouldn't share a lot of the same opinions on anything.
And it's like, if you just want to be another shredder so you can impress someone else at Sam Ash, R.I.P.
I was gonna say no longer.
Or a Guitar Center or Sweetwater or wherever you're going to, like, go do that, but don't complain.
Right, and realize what that's gonna get you.
Yeah,
which is you're gonna impress the guy at Guitar Center.
Like I worked with a couple dudes. I remember that I worked with at Guitar Center, who were really cool, but they were just kind of stuck. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they could play like my assistant manager at Guitar Center, that dude could play. But like it's almost like there was this arrogance to them. Like about their abilities. And that's kind of the downside, because I do feel like some of these guys have, like, shredding is a very hard thing.
Yes.
That I cannot do because it's so hard. Like learning to play guitar in time at high speeds. I think Brandon Dion was saying that like learning to play guitar at a high level is like maybe one of the hardest instruments you can learn to play. Like, so I respect anyone who has put the amount of time in or has the talent to do anything. But I do think that a lot of the times, because certain people who have put that time in, who are really disciplined, feel like that's it. Like I shouldn't have to do anything else.
Somebody's going to notice me and I'm going to be playing in some big band just because I can do this. Yeah. There are a lot of talented people in this world. There are a lot of people who are really great singers, like fantastic vocalists, just naturally.
Yeah.
And they're not going to make it in the music industry if they don't figure out a way to make other people realize that they can do that.
Or just take a step back. Because I'm like, even if you can shred, you realize if you go on tour, you get on the biggest tour in the world, I don't even know. Like, they're not there for you. And they're not going to be asking for you. Like, if you were to go on tour with I think Ed Sheeran actually does have a band now. If you were to go on tour with Ed Sheeran and you started just ripping, he would be like, what the heck are you doing?
Well, like people would be like really into it for 30 seconds. But if you kept doing that, they're going to be like, I am here for Ed.
Yeah.
Will you stop, please?
Like, please, like this is cool, but like, can you just play the part? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's appropriate to go a little off script, and sometimes it's cool, like you said, for 30 seconds. But like once you start getting into to the Lydian mode solo on like an Ed Sheeran song, he's gonna be like, hey,
you're fired. Yeah.
Like, let's reel it in.
Mhm.
Let's not. This is not about you. So, and I kind of like think to. I hope I can. I'm trying to get better at taking this approach to YouTube about like when I'm presenting a piece of gear, when I'm presenting a video or a topic, like this video, if it was just about like, let me show you guys how cool what I'm about to play is, it's like they're not gonna watch that.
No, even if it is really cool, that's I think what some people don't understand. I might think it's cool.
Yeah.
How many videos am I gonna watch like that though? Not very many.
Most
Not
of the
very many.
videos, I like the majority of videos I watch. One, probably aren't guitar videos. I get enough of guitar YouTube in my job. Like
Yes.
I'm like off of guitar YouTube. But if I am watching guitar videos, like I think that Paul Davids is like, and I think most people would think Paul Davids is like the gold standard of guitar YouTube. And I was talking to a friend, and he's a phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong. Like he is the best of the best. But like I was talking to a friend who was like, yeah, Paul's a filmmaker. Like he's not a guitar player. He is making actual legitimate movies. They just happen to be 10 minutes long. And like every movie or every single video asserts so much value for the player, where he could just show off. Or he could show you how John Frusciante's E string is technically tuned down in scar tissue and how that's like the coolest thing ever. Mm-hmm. And like he's actually presenting you with information you want to hear in a really cool way, not just like, look at me, I'm Paul Davids, I'm better than you.
Right.
Like,
it's the presentation. How is it packaged? What are you doing? What value are you giving them?
And there's value in every single video, which is why every single video gets like a bajillion views.
You know who's almost the anti to the just shreddy person is like Trogley. Whether you like his channel or not, the dude barely plays. Mm-hmm. It's like mostly just vintage guitars. Like, cool, look at this vintage guitar. This one came out in this year, and this is the unique thing about it. The value he's giving is you're getting knowledge about these instruments that you wouldn't have had before. But the dude like never plays.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, and some people don't like channels that never play. I understand that viewpoint too, but obviously he's given enough value on that channel that people don't care.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't care.
Like, I think in my videos are usually 10 minutes, and I usually don't start playing until like the 5 to 7 minute mark, if that. And it's like, why does this guy just shut up and play guitar? Because you wouldn't watch.
Right.
That it's as simple as that. You would not watch if just like, that's not what this channel is about. I am a guitar player technically. That's just the medium, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I just happen, like, I love I love the art of guitar. I love talking about gear. Those are two of my biggest passions in life. But like, I also have to recognize that I am as much, or if not more, depending on the day, a YouTuber than I am a guitar player. Mm-hmm. And like figuring that out changes everything.
Yeah. Like
literally everything. Because the second you think that, like, again, and we've been talking about it for like 25 minutes. The second you think like my ego comes first, like, people are going to see through that so quickly, or they're not even going to watch in the first place, because you're just like everyone else who's trying to make a career for themselves by showing off.
Well, let's see. Wow, we've been going for a while on this one. That's great. This is a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. We've got some classic questions to wrap the main episode up on before we get over to Patreon. But before I do that, I like to give the guests a chance to take the stage. Plug anything you want to plug, shout out anybody you want to shout out, say hi to your grandma, whatever it is. Like, the floor is yours to talk to a few thousand people right now.
I guess parents, sister, shout out. You guys are all great. I don't know who else to shout out. All my friends. Yeah, I guess every person, every other guitar player on the planet, because I think you're all great.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. I love you guys. Wouldn't have jobs without you, to be honest. So thank you. Yeah. And for everybody listening, wherever you're listening, go to the show notes. Link to Mike's YouTube channel will be
thank you.
in there. You can click there, subscribe, do all the things that you know you're supposed to do. It'll be right there. It'll be easy to find. So go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever platform you're on. And if you can't find it, DM me. I'll send it to you. It's not that hard to find. All right, Mike.
Yes.
First of the 2 classic questions.
Yes.
What is your favorite Boss pedal?
I'm not going to say. I'm going to give you my second favorite Boss pedal because I have my first favorite Boss pedal in, I don't know, in this box right here.
Okay.
And I'm going to cover it because I haven't made a video about it yet.
Oh.
Not that it hasn't come out yet. It has come out. I'm not
it has.
violating any NDAs or anything.
Oh, okay. All right.
It has come out. It is my favorite Boss pedal. I want to do a giant video about it because it's incredible. My current favorite Boss pedal is probably the SD1.
Ah, classic.
Yep. What's yours?
Boss's Tube Screamer.
Yep.
A lot of people don't realize that, but it is.
My friend actually told me that. I literally got it because I wanted to be different than all the other Tube Screamer guys. I was talking to my friend Andy, and he goes, "Doesn't it have the same circuit as a Tube Screamer?" And I was like, "Can you just let me be different for one day?"
Yeah, I think it pretty much does. But I like the Boss format, so can't argue with that. Mine changes a lot. Sometimes it's the BF2. I love that flanger. Right now, I'm just gonna go with the HM2. I've been having a lot of fun with the HM2. I don't use the chainsaw setting. Everybody's like, turn all the way up and use the chain. No, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even sound good on that setting. What are you guys doing? Listen to those death metal bands. Like, that wasn't the only thing they were doing. They didn't just do that. There's other things going on too. And if you turn your HM2 all the way up on all the knobs, it's not going to sound very good. It just isn't. It's got a really flexible EQ on it. Use it.
Yep.
There's my rant for the episode. Oh, that's probably going to make its way into a short.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. All right. Second and last classic question.
Okay.
What is your favorite kind of pizza?
So this is also an interesting one. So I have a lot of stomach issues, and currently I have not had pizza in. When was the last pizza I had? 2020 or 2021?
2020.
It's been almost 4 years since I've had an actual pizza. There are 2 things I cannot eat in this world because of my stomach. It's fried chicken and pizza. Fried chicken, I'm fine with not eating. I don't miss fried chicken for a second. Pizza,
not at all.
Not at all. Pizza, I love pizza. My favorite type of pizza to get at midnight. I used to work at Chick-fil-A. At midnight afterwards, the only thing that was open was Papa John's barbecue chicken and bacon pizza. It was heavenly. It was unbelievable. And I can't eat that anymore. And I get sad.
That makes me so sad.
It
I
does.
hate to hear somebody can't enjoy pizza, especially when they love pizza.
Dude, you smell pizza sometimes and I'm like, maybe I could break this for a day. I tried gluten-free pizza and I tried cauliflower pizza, and neither of which were good.
I've had some gluten-free examples that I'm like, all right, but I'm pretty lucky. Like in the Portland area, there's a lot of options.
What's your favorite pizza?
Ooh, that's tough. Like, Nashville's got a couple of my favorites. I really love Smith & Lentz Brewery. They got a great pizza there. Bella Napoli, a great Italian spot in Nashville. Really good pizza. But generally speaking, I love a New York style slice. I I love New York and New York pizza so much. But on a daily, like something I can just go get whenever I want basis, there's a small little Italian style wood fired place in my town called Mi Familia. And that was a place that made me realize that there was levels to pizza. You know, there's like there's levels to this game. And that place was one of the it opened like 20 years ago, and I was like, pizza's pizza at that point. And I went there and was like, no. This is some stuff right here.
No, there was a similar place in Nashville. It would only open from like 12 to 3, and I think they closed down permanently. But they were called Joey's House of Pizza.
I know Joey's House of Pizza.
Oh,
I loved Joey's
House of Pizza. What? My boss was like, "Hey, yo, go check out this pizza place." And I'm like,
dude,
pizza's pizza.
No,
pizza's not pizza.
Joey's was legit, and it was right by the String Joy shop. So when I would go there doing stuff, like I'm like, I'm going to. Who wants Joey's? I'm going to Joey's. Let's go.
You eat that pizza, and you're like, oh, pizza's not pizza.
And you go in there, and the guy would like stare at you for a while, and then you'd be like, "This is the line for the salad." And like that guy's only job was taking orders for salad, and he'd yell at you to go to the other thing. It was great.
Yeah. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Joey's. I loved Joey's. Man, so upset that it's gone. Major bummer. Major loss to the greater Nashville area. It's terrible. Well, dude, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for all the insights. We'll slide over to Patreon and see what kind of nonsense we can stir up. That works
Absolutely.
For
you. I love Patreon.
Yeah. All right, everybody. For Mike, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Alrighty, folks. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you really liked it, if you really, really enjoyed it, like I said, there's a fairly lengthy bonus episode attached to this one. Go to patreon.com/tonemob. And for $5 a month, you can get access to that, as well as all of the bonus episodes that come every week to the Patreon subscribers' ears. So if you would please do that, that would mean a lot to me. And if you can't, hey, I totally understand. My other request would be, please just share this with somebody. If there's somebody you think needs to hear this, if you think Mike's story would help somebody, then please share this episode with them. Encourage them to listen to it. That means a lot to me. It's the only reason this show is able to keep going. There is not an algorithm pushing podcasts the way that there is on YouTube or other platforms. So please, please, please help me out and share this with a friend. It would honestly mean the world to me. Thank you so much to everyone who has done that over the years. It's the reason this show still exists and I'm able to keep doing this. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to Mike's YouTube channel. That is, of course, in the show notes. And check out his content. It's very, very good. And I think you will get a kick out of it. You'll get some smiles and maybe some self-reflection as well. So thank you all for hanging out. I'll talk to you on the internet very, very soon. Bye-bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.
Hey, what's up? This is Chris Pandolfi. Join me for the new season of my podcast where we go inside the musician's brain with new episodes starting Tuesday, June 4th.
Hearing it in that room, these guys playing this thing and trying to figure out how to play this song was mind-blowing. It's so inspiring to know there's so much more to it than you ever thought. And it just opened another door.
But when people find faith because they need to, in terms of just filling a void to feel better without actually being better, that's when it becomes a crutch, much like drugs and alcohol do.
Man, I don't have all the time in the world here. If I want to be a professional bluegrass musician, I felt like I had to take a very strategic approach, just trying to get rid of the barriers and figure out what those barriers were.
The feelings still come and I have to reckon with that, but I think I have better ways of moving forward and not being stuck, which I think was the killer for me.
Catch all that and so much more on the new season of Inside the Musician's Brain.
Hi, I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. We want to tell you about our podcast, None But the Brave, which is dedicated to taking a deep dive into the work of Bruce Springsteen.
We're currently in our 5th season. Our latest episodes focus heavily on Bruce's 2024 tour and have featured such guests as Anthony Castrovince from MLB Network and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
We're also covering the 40th anniversary of Bruce's biggest record, Born in the USA. And as part of that, coming up this week, Uprock's cultural critic Stephen Hyden returns to the show for a fascinating hour-long conversation about his new book, There Was Nothing You Could Do, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA and the End of the Heartland.
To listen, you can go to our website, mbtbpodcast.com, or subscribe on your preferred podcasting platform.
We hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.